to White Cliff. White Cliff Park is known for its amazing spit. A spit is an extended stretch of beach material that stretches out to sea. Although you can't tell right now, the spit is actually a tombolo. If you look just over there, you'll see a bunch of boulders that line the way. However, because of the high tide, the boulders don't create a walkway across the island. Longshore drift is affected by the wind direction, which is pushing it from the southwest. So here you can see an accumulation of debris and deposition and a wide range of different wood and log sizes. Because it's such high tide, we struggle to see the glacial till from down low. So we came up here and you can clearly see all the glacial till that runs across the beach. Glacial till was brought in by a glacier that was once here. As if you could outrun me! As if you could fight me off! Oh, the sediment! It upsets me. Sediment is unsorted glacial debris that consists of rocks, sand, clay, and boulders. Swash and backwash is a part of longshore drift. And here you can see the swash comes in at an angle and then backwash goes straight back. Clearly on this beach, the swash is much greater than the backwash because of all the debris buildup along the shore.
Where we are right now, this is a bay, and we can see two headlands just right here and right over here. Bays are typically softer rocks, so they're more easily eroded. Headlands are harder rock. The difference in here causes a bay to form when there's two headlands that poke out right across the sea. Some examples of soft rock are clay and sandstone, and you can see just here on the bay that we have some softer rocks, whereas on the headlands you can see we have some harder rocks. So here we are on the headland now, and as you can see it's much harder rock, very hard. Some examples of harder rock are chalk and limestone.
Right behind me we have two different types of rocks, basalt and granite. Here is a basalt rock, which is darker in color, and here is a granite rock, which is light. Basalt is an example of igneous extrusive rock. It has smaller crystals because it cools quickly, leaving less time for the crystals to form. Granite is an example of igneous intrusive rock. Igneous intrusive cools slowly, causing the crystal sizes to grow bigger. I'm just like an intrusive rock fella.
It's beautiful, just like you.
Skin of a killer, Bella. If you look behind me, you'll see a volcanic dike. This was formed by different types of weathering, and if you look at this rock right here, you can see that the lighter igneous rock is being cut through by the basalt. The way this dike formed was there was an oceanic plate and a continental plate that collided. But when they joined up, the oceanic plate was denser and went under the continental plate, bringing it with it, creating this curve that caused it to look like this.
These boulders were put in place just along the coast here, so then the water wouldn't come and erode further. The type of erosion that occurs here is hydraulic action, which is just the concurrent force of water pushing the bay back.
Similarly to a bay, a wave cut platform is also created by hydraulic action, which you can see in this picture. In order for a wave cut platform to occur, you need to have a vertical cliff face that comes in contact with a body of water. When the waves hit the cliff, there's three types of erosion happening: abrasion, attrition, and hydraulic action. The ocean carries debris which can cause attrition and abrasion. Abrasion is a type of erosion that occurs very slowly and is caused by a rubbing of surfaces. Attrition is very similar, however it is quicker and caused by hitting of surfaces. This then causes a dip in the cliff, which causes the rest of the cliff face to fall. Then this pushes back the entire cliff, and the process is repeated over and over again. As you can see, the platform of broken down cliff is just above or just below sea level. As long as the waves are hitting the rocks, the cliffs will continue to retreat backwards and repeat this process many times.
So here's another example of a wave cut platform. You can see that this platform though is above the water, so it's had a little less time to be eroded.
Here are some examples of root wedging we saw when we were in White Cliff Park. Root wedging is when a plant's roots grow into a rock's crack and pry open the rock. Now we made our way to Lions Bay.
Hi, welcome to Harvey Creek. Here you can see the debris flow dam down in Lions Bay. They created this dam because there was so many debris flow that was happening in Lions Bay during the 1980s. It's awful what happened here. The debris flow, 1980s, Harvey Creek. It's so destructive. Thank God they built this dam. But how does it work? The dam works by the water collecting up there and then the dam letting it flow down with all these rocks. These rocks were placed here so then all the debris doesn't damage and erode the rocks away. So it's hard rock, so it just flows naturally down. So this is a man-made dam, and as you can see, there are many bolts along each of the rocks to keep the boulders in place. And then there's also many mitigating techniques that they use, like shotcrete along everything, which is just cement, sprayable cement that's able to keep the things in place. And then there's also some drainage pipes just right here in case there's too much water.
Here's another example of what shotcrete looks like. Slides, also known as mass wasting, is known as the movement of Earth when gravity overcomes friction. There are two factors that influence mass wasting: wetness and angle of repose. The amount of water included can change the dampness of the ground, which can cause the object to slip. The angle of repose depends on the slope of the loose material, depending on if it's stable or not. The more jagged the rock is, the more friction there is, causing it to be more stable than a smooth rock. I'm using two different examples here, a pile of sand and a pile of boulders. On the left, the pile of sand has a smaller surface area and the rock is more smooth. However, on the right, the pile of boulders have a rougher exterior and a larger surface area. As you can see, I am including the angle at which these piles rest at. The steeper the angle, the more stable the pile will be.
Orographic precipitation is a type of precipitation that impacts BC the most. If you look up there at the mountains, you'll see a bunch of snow just along the one side. This happens when a cloud hits the mountain. It is forced upwards, and as it ascends, the temperature decreases by 6.5 degrees Celsius. The reason orographic precipitation increases the risk of landslides is because when it rains, the unconsolidated rocks and sediment get moist and increase the risk of landslides. Another reason orographic precipitation impacts BC is because we live in a maritime polar environment. That means that we live in cold, moist, and unstable environments, which is often low pressure, just like today. Here we are at Shannon Falls. If you look just through the trees, you'll see the beautiful waterfall that cascades down and feeds this youthful river. A youthful river has many different characteristics. Some of the most common characteristics are the fact that it's narrow. As you can see, it's only about 10 meters across. Not only is this a narrow river, but it's also shallow and fast moving. Come with me so we can take a closer look. Not only is this river narrow, fast, and shallow, but it also has rapids. These rapids are pretty quick, but not as quick as me. Whoa, sorry, deja vu. Where was I? Oh yeah. This Shannon River is youthful, which means it has vertical erosion. Vertical erosion means it increases depth as time goes on. So, as the river matures, it will get deeper and deeper. Not only will it get deeper, but the discharge will also get higher and the loads will also get higher. Because right now, there's less water flowing than there would be in a mature river, and there's less discharge, which means less sediments flowing down the water. Another characteristic of a youthful river is a steep gradient, which means it has a steep slope. I just cracked this rock in half with my strength, Bella.
You didn't, Edward. Stop sapping. This could be an example of frost shattering, or also known as sapping. Now, we're not completely 100% sure, but it's our best guess. So frost shattering, or sapping, is when water flows into rock cracks and expands the rock, and the ice expands by 9%. This is very common in BC, like we see, because we live in a maritime polar environment. This rock has another good example of something, called striations. If you come a little closer, you can see. See all these lines across the rock? This is the glacier moving across it, coming this way or this way. All these little lines here are called striations, and it made this rock smooth enough so then you can literally slide down it. And I'll show you. The reason the rock is so smooth that you can slide down is because the abrasion the glacier caused. So here we are at the side of the river, and as you can see, there's a lot of glacial till here, or also known as ground moraine. Glacial till is unsorted moraine that consists of clay, rocks, and boulders.
Here is a great example of glacial till or lateral moraine. It is unconsolidated, which means that it is loose. It is unsorted, so it has large and small rocks scattered throughout it.
So Shannon Falls is a hanging valley, and as you can see up there, before the glacier came around, this was all just mountain. But the glacier has carved away all this area here and has left a hanging valley. If it wasn't for a truncated spur, we would be in the mountain right now. The glacier just eroded the face off of the cliff and created a flat tip, which creates the waterfall coming out now. So you can also see how smooth the scarp of the falls is. This is because the glacier abrasion is hydraulic action. This over here, because it is so smooth, you see water coming down here all the time. It's caused by glacier or hydraulic action. As you can see, where the water is coming down the rocks, this is a great example of what oxidization is. The water changes the color of the rock as it continues down.
The water changes the color of the rocks by the oxygen in the water, which then causes a chemical reaction.
This is a great example of a dike. As you can see, it runs all the way across these rocks. Right there, the light-colored rock, which is granite, runs through the basalt and creates a separation between the two. In the province of BC, under a near constant cover of clouds and rain, there's a large batholith called the Chief. A batholith is a failed volcano made from the solidification of magma beneath the Earth's surface.
While we were in Whistler, we wanted to learn a little bit more about Whistler Village and the people that come here. Here are some of the stores that we used as examples for our tourist attractions in Whistler Village. You have some fun activities, and then you also have your restaurant, gift shops, and hotels. So here are some examples of some stores that the locals might use. We have a doctor's office, a drugstore, and also a grocery store, as well as some of the bigger brands. We were also guided to interview a couple of these people from some of these brands. We decided to stop by Oakley's as they are one of the bigger companies producing ski supplies, and as skiing is the most preferred sport up here in Whistler, we were interested in what they had to say.
So, you can start by introducing yourself.
Awesome! My name is Godwin, I am from the UK, and I have been in Whistler for just over a year now. This will be my 5th season doing this kind of alpine kind of environment, and so far so good. I really enjoyed myself.
So, do you know how long Oakley's been in business here?
Ooh, you got me there on the spot there. I don't believe I know fully, but they have been here for a while. Since 2019 actually.
Okay. When's your busiest time of year?
Oh, hands down, it has to be when the winter starts.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as the mountains open, everyone comes in here because when you think of goggles, it's Oakley straight away. You know, we make goggles for this kind of terrain with the bad fog and just harsh environments. When you want to be up there, you want to make sure that your goggles are performing at their best. And I would like to say that we are pretty much up there.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, who's your main clientele then?
Our main clientele would be people who are local to this mountain, as well as people who have come here for the first time and just want to be able to enjoy the alpine environment without any issues whatsoever when being caught up there. So we do have a vast majority of just like overseas clientele, as well as locals as well, because people who rock now.
Yeah. And you said you're from the UK, like what made you choose Whistler?
So like many of us, you know, we had that kind of break between being able to travel internationally, and as soon as borders started opening up again, I said to myself, I'm going to go to a place that is really just full on, has everything that you need, bike riding, paddle boarding, events and such, and I thought to myself, hey, I'm going to go to Whistler. And I feel like a lot of people, not just myself, but even Australians also had the same idea, and that is why I've also started to gravitate towards Whistler.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Lastly, we decided to stop by the grocery store up in Whistler because not only the tourists use it, but also the locals.
Do you want to start by introducing yourself?
Yeah. Hello, I'm Colleen and I am from Dublin in Ireland.
How long have you been working at this store?
I am here only about 2.5 months. Yeah.
Do you know the busiest time of year yet, or no?
I would say the busiest time of the year is definitely during winter because it is one of the largest mountains that you can ski on in the world. So definitely winter.
Yeah.
And then who's your main clientele?
I would say just the locals. Yeah, and all of the tourists actually that come through. Definitely. Yeah.
And then what made you choose Whistler?
I have dreamt about coming to these slopes for many years now, and I have finally made the step. And I've come here to ski and to learn to snowboard.
Okay,
Thank you. So here we are on the bridge that connects two sides of the Whistler village together. This is an example of human adaptations because it increases foot traffic.
Behind me you can see Whistler Mountain with all the gondolas and chairlifts going up the mountain. This is an example of a human adaptation that has increased revenue because of the tourist attraction.
So as you can see, here's a bike rack. This is another form of a human adaptation. You can see that there's lots of bikes and there's lots of stores that sell them because in the wintertime there's many people bike riding along the mountains.
Here I am in a park in Whistler Village. This park is an example of human adoption because this wasn't here before. The reason this park needed to be built was because of the amount of tourists and families that come visit Whistler.
Another form of human adaptation that we found in Whistler Village was just how many trash cans they had just scattered throughout the entire village because there's how many people are just constantly walking through it every single day.
Here I am standing in front of the Olympic rings. The Olympics were held here in 2010 for the Winter Games, and it's a big example of human adaptation because of the tourism and revenue that was needed when the Olympics were held here.
This is the biggest example of human adaptation because this all before it was a village was a forest. The amazing slopes brought all these people here. That's a long way up there.
Hop on. Hang on tight, spider monkey. Hi, welcome to Brandywine Falls. If you look behind me, you can see the beautiful cascading waterfall that brings many tourists to this location. However, I bet most of these tourists and hikers don't know how this waterfall came to be, but luckily, I'm here to tell you. Waterfalls are most commonly formed in areas that have a layer of hard rock overlaying a layer of soft rock. This allows the water to flow over the hard rock and break down the layer of soft rock below it using hydraulic action and abrasion. Over time, the soft rock will erode away further and further back, causing the water to drop down a steeper elevation into the pool below. With this never-ending process of erosion, the waterfall's shape and size will continue to change over time, and we can expect to see a deeper and wider plunge pool at the bottom of the waterfall, along with the possibility that the water will erode away the hard layer of rock, causing the waterfall to move backwards with headward erosion.
Hey, welcome to Brandywine Falls. Isn't this just incredible? This waterfall. Crazy what we see here now. Column of joints. Oh my god. Oh my god, it is. You know what's crazy? That where I'm standing right now used to be lava. It beats me. I don't know how that happened. Columnar joints form when the rock cools and contracts. They form on the sides of composite volcanoes which have layers of lava and ash. They form from a layer of lava, whereas at the bottom of it cools slowly, and at the top it cools quickly, creating basalt in hexagon shapes. The convergence of two plates is a crucial piece of information in order to understand not only columnar joints, but volcanoes, plates and their properties, as well as earthquakes. The oceanic plate, or also known as CIMA, as you can see on the left, is denser than a continental plate, or also known as CL, as you can see on the right. As the oceanic plate is denser, it's going to subduct under the continental plate, but it's also going to bring down the continental plate with it. The now created gap, formed by the continental being forced down, joining with a body of water, is called a trench. As the continental plate is forced down, a crack begins to spread vertically, which lava then rises out of, creating a composite volcano. The force on the continental plate will bring tectonic uplift, creating fold mountains in front of the volcano. The composite volcano is made up of layers of lava and ash. The Benioff zone is where earthquakes take place down in the asthenosphere.